Let's go ahead and move on to our number 4 ranked team here.
This
Syracuse,
we're getting
Syracuse.
interesting.
Beans, Captain Beans, Evil, Do Not Pass Go, Fox, Cody, and Jackal, all out of New York. Total number of Laserforce missions, they rank number 3 with 17,165, but they rank dead last in total SM5 missions played in Loveland, 179, some of which are from 2015 Nats 9 years ago. Rankings. Sweets had them lowest at number 6, Snuffles number 4, Odin's Fist number 5, and I had them at number 4. Sweets, the floor is yours.
All right. My main detractor from this team is I think they have a lot of really confident players, and overconfidence hurts a lot in this arena. And so having so little experience in this arena and trying to play like you normally do, maybe in a home site or in any of their other 17,000 games, playing like a player that is expecting to dominate and then not doing as well as you thought really, really punishes you here. You get thrown downstairs, you get thrown into a closet or chamber, and your whole team is clustered in there and you're getting messed up. We saw this with the Stack Pancakes team. Those players are all individually skilled, and I would say most players in this team are like comparable to that Stack Pancakes team, and they had some really, really hard times figuring out how to play in the arena with a number of highly skilled players. I played with Beans and Cody in the most recent Nats team, and I think they're both like individually top tier. But woo, and Luke, let's go. But I think this arena doesn't suit their play style very well. Cody, I think, performed really well in the duos tournament. Mind you, he was getting really high scores on medic because he was playing very aggro medic, and that helped the MVP quite a bit. But I think he just plays really confident here. And if people are scared of him, he's going to dominate them. But I think there's enough high tier players this tournament that are confident in their own play style that they will take advantages of the opportunities that are presented by playing overconfident here. And so that's my main detractor for these guys. On the other side of it, I think the individual skill is really, really high. I mean, I think Beans is the only player I've seen consistently score like above 10K on Scout, and that's just like ridiculous. I can't even score like 9K on Scout, and he'll just drop like a 13 casually. So I don't know what he's playing in this tournament, but being able to score that high at all on Scout, just in this arena, in my opinion, is probably the most important role, or at least the most influential. They have a lot of sway on the game. So if their scouts are able to step up and drop anything even close to that in a low-scoring arena like this, the game's over. So.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of skill in this team, and I think the reason I rank them at fifth is because while I think that they will struggle a bit with adapting to the arena, they have a lot of competitive experience. And I really value that a lot. That's something I didn't mention for my team, but is a big selling point for me on my team is I think that we have a lot of tournament experience. Um, and the same is true for this. I mean, Beans has been playing forever. You know, you have Cody has been showing up to a lot of recent events, has been very serious, has been very committed. You know, Lenny, Do Not Pass Go, has been playing for a while. You know, Fox, they're just like Jackal is a fairly new player, but aside from that, like they're a very tried and true team, and Jackal has still been playing tournaments for a few years now. I think that tournament experience is really going to shine for them. I think it's really going to let them show up, take the game seriously, adapt, pick up what other teams are doing, get value out of their refing, because that's a thing that you notice a big difference between like experienced teams and inexperienced teams is what they're looking for while they're refing too. Um, and I think that's going to help them a lot. I also like at the end of the day, Nats comes down to finals, and Syracuse has very often been a well performing finals team. They know how to kick it into gear once you cross that threshold. You know, how many years have we seen Beans on Scout the whole tournament, and then all of a sudden he goes onto Commander and starts pulling, rabbits out of hats and making things happen that propel their team forward. And so I'm kind of expecting to see a lot of that from Syracuse this year. But I definitely am concerned about their ability to adapt to a multi-floor arena, their ability to like maintain awareness of multiple floors. And that's not just true for, looking up, but looking down as well. Things like pushing across third floor and getting shot from second. That field awareness can really bite you in the back during some very critical moments. So I'd be interested to see how that hinders them.
For me personally, I really don't buy the whole they're not very good in multi-storied arenas, simply because for me personally, at least, I don't feel like there's a huge difference between a one-level and a multi-story. Obviously there is, but I don't think it's a big enough difference that it makes much of a difference, especially, in my opinion, Loveland. Obviously, going downstairs in Loveland is a death sentence, but I think the mistake a lot of people make is they go downstairs and they stay downstairs, which is why they lose, instead of fighting to go back up. A big concern of mine, though, is about half the players haven't played here as far as I'm aware, and they also haven't really traveled outside of Syracuse much, aside from Detroit. Namely, like Fox, Do Not Pass Go, and Jackwall. From what I've heard, they really don't travel much at all. And so I definitely think they will struggle with the arena in that sense, but not really because of the multi-story. But yeah, I think Beans is going to carry so many games for them. I'm excited to see how he does. Mm-hmm. And of course, I think the biggest thing this team has going against them is the brownie milkshake combo. So they'll have to look out for that.
My goodness. I'd like to add on to Snuffle's case for why this team, for me, is in the top 4, and I think could take higher. I'll start out by shouting out my lunchbox leftover boys. Beans and Cody are definitely big assets on this team. Beans has played 5,000 plus games at 22 sites. He's ridiculous. He has a long track record of being able to be kind of a solo carry. And Cody, I'm actually very impressed with Cody. Over the last couple of years, he's put in work to become proficient in the Loveland site. In West Coast 22, 6 of the top 10 commander scores from that tournament all belong to Cody. And he placed 3rd in duos, which, having only played one other tournament here, isn't something you can just walk in and do, even if you have Simply Okay as your other partner. Cody pulled his weight in that duos event. Yes, he did not play medic the most carefully, but he also plays a very mean heavy in commander in our arena. Between the two of those bringing experience, if it was just that, I wouldn't be putting them this high. I think if we were playing in a neutral arena where no one had ever played there before, this would be a team contending for first. I think top to bottom, they have some of the most talent. And a little history lesson, Syracuse came out here for Nats 2015. They took 3rd place. Beans, Do Not Pass Go, and Fox were all on that team. So they all do have that experience. Just
I was still wrong, man.
No, you're good. 9 years ago, it could all be gone for all we know. Whatever they did, our arena has some new walls added and bottom floors changed a bit since 2015. But the point is, I agree with you, Dallin. There is that rumor that you can't adapt to a multi-floor arena, but they did come in and they adapted enough to take 3rd place 9 years ago. I don't see why they can't do it again. The only downsides I see here, I'm just worried with how little site experience they have. The question is, will they be able to figure it out? And also, their team, I worry about competition over the 3-hit rolls. I worry about people believing they should get to play certain roles and not playing whatever they need simply because their team needs it. I think there are 4 people who could be a great commander on this team, and potentially could play it. But how will they all synergize, or will it just be a bunch of solo carry players trying to beat up whoever's in front of them?
I think theoretically the main difference between a 1 and 2 story arena is once you're pushed downstairs, how do you retake second floor?
Right.
You're bottlenecked into 2 ramps, and good teams like I think Loveland A and St. George are especially good at this. Will spread out and keep you pinned downstairs. And unless you're experienced at how to retake a second floor, that you feel like you're just running into a wall. You walk up the ramp and you get shot, and you walk right back down. So I think that's something that's going to be a bit of a difference because the defensive player has the advantage, and when when they have the high ground, there's a major advantage for that defensive player. So trying to get past that is really hard, and even pushing onto third from second here, it's a bit of a story difference, but I feel like you run into some of the same struggles. And the other, I guess, downside that was briefly mentioned is this arena is very bodily intensive because of those ramps. Um, there's a lot of running up and down them, and some of these players in the past have struggled with just sheer exhaustion over the amount of games here. And I think some of their players are a bit older, and so I don't I don't know how everyone's knees are doing, but I know after the Mega Members Night, I was super sore, and I still consider myself pretty young. So just hopefully their bodies are ready for the intensity of the tournament. I don't know how often they're practicing either in their home site too.
Yeah, I fully agree on that pushing upstairs part, and I think like um, being able to really understand and adjust to certain circumstances and certain strategies and tactics, and understanding what you need to do in situations. A lot of that comes down to experience, which is where you see like experience really shine throughout the years. Players who have experienced a lot of different situations and circumstances and tournaments, know how to adapt to different situations a lot better. Um, and sometimes strategies that may seem ineffective can be effective against teams that just aren't prepared for them. I played at a random draw in Detroit, and my team had done the wall strategy as kind of a last ditch effort. And the other team just didn't understand how to play against it. And so, even though a lot of experienced players will say the wall is easy to play against, it's not that hard to beat. If you don't know what you're doing and you're going into that situation, it can still be, catastrophic for you. And so, I agree. Like, especially if they aren't regularly talking about things like how to take upstairs or these things that require a lot of coordination, which is really what I think it comes down to. Um, I think they're going to have a hard time with that, but we'll see what they're able to do by talking outside of the game and figuring these things out and ironing stuff out. But I do think Loveland requires you to play so much as a cohesive unit that having certain things planned out and expected ahead of time helps enable you to do the things that you have to do in game. That being said, Syracuse does have this, weird little uh, telepathy link going on where you can play games against them and it's like they're not saying anything, but all of a sudden all of them are just playing off of each other and where they need to be. So, maybe that experience playing with each other and how well they know each other as players will come through and shine for them. And if it does, I definitely could see them placing higher. I think that they have enough strength and power on this team to really cause some upsets and perform very well.
We need to move on. I have to rectify one fact though. Do Not Pass Go, I think, actually was subbing for St. George in 2015, but Fox played for Syracuse. But Lenny does have experience in Loveland.
Do Not Pass Go and Beams also played in Sacramento Nats 2017. So they definitely have a lot of experience with multi-floor arenas.
Mm.
But I was basing some judgments based on performances that I saw in Sacramento. So it different year, different players. See how well they're able to do here.
Absolutely.